Hey everybody, welcome back to Popcorn for Dinner. This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
Did that did that sound that sounded like it was like the beginning of a commercial and not the actual, you know what I mean? Like, hey everybody, welcome to
Yeah. I fed off your energy and went all retail.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it felt like. I was answering a telephone at work. Like, hey everybody, welcome to Popcorn for Dinner. This is Jeff. How can I help? What can I do for you? But either way, welcome to Popcorn for Dinner. This is Jeff.
This is Kelly.
Today we are going to talk about a little movie. I told myself I was going to look it up and I still didn't. I believe it was 1996. I know I can, in the midst of the show, but at the same time, it's just like it popped into my head like, you didn't even look it up, you idiot. I believe it was 1996, directed by Penelope Spheris, I believe it is. She did Wayne's World.
Okay.
The beginning of the movie looks like Wayne's World is starting with that like Paramount logo and those like blocky white letters of like Paramount Pictures presents.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for like, hey, Aurora. But it's not.
Nope.
It's not Wayne's World. And it's not even Tommy Boy.
Nope.
It is Black Sheep, the second Chris Farley, David Spade combo movie. I believe they had like a deal where they were, where it's like, you guys could make a couple movies for us. So this was the second one.
Yeah.
There's Tommy Boy and then Black Sheep, which not as many people like for certain. I know a lot
certain
fewer
reasons
people.
We'll mention.
Explain. And it also just, I feel like it's a much lesser seen movie. Or even like heard about. And people be like, oh yeah, you said Tommy Boy? Like, oh yeah, Tommy Boy. It's like, oh, what about Black Sheep? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there was another one.
I learned about Black Sheep when Blockbuster was closing.
Uh-huh.
And they had like little cardboard movie covers essentially.
Yeah.
And they were selling them for like 20 for like $1.
Yeah.
So I picked out a bunch of them, and Black Sheep happened to be one that I grabbed because I was like, oh, I like Chris Farley. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But I hadn't seen it. I just knew that it existed. Had no idea what it was about.
Yeah. That's one of the big things that I noticed while I was watching it is how just sort of meandering it is in terms of like Tommy Boy has such a very specific plot.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like you have to go on this sales trip and you have to sell 500,000 brake pads or the company is getting sold to the bank and blah, 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 blah. But there's a very specific thing that you're doing or that the characters are doing, obviously. Not
right.
You. It's not first person.
There's a journey that you're on.
Yeah, but there's like a specific thing leading you from one scene to the next scene to the next scene. It's like, all right, they got to travel to this town. There's a plot going on with Rob Lowe and all that they cut back to every once in a while, the home life versus them on the road and everything. But like there's something pulling these characters to do the things that are like to get them in these scenarios.
Yeah, there's a driving force to the plot.
Exactly. And it never really feels like they detour too hard. You know what I mean? Like, even the scenes where it's not specifically about selling brake pads.
Yeah.
It still makes it's like them in the motel room talking and fat guy in a little coat and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like everything, or stopping at a diner or the hood flying up because the thing, everything kind of has it serves the story. And with Black Sheep, it's like for anybody who hasn't seen it, Black Sheep essentially is Chris Farley plays Mike Donnelly, who is the brother of Al Donnelly, who is running for governor of Washington State. Now, for one, right off the bat, zero chance these guys are brothers.
Yeah.
100,000%. There's no way these two came from the same gene pool.
Unless they're like half brothers.
Yeah, that's what I sort of just put in my head because I could not believe it for real. I was like, Farley's probably adopted or something. I don't know. Like there had to be something going on there because they were not related at all. But he is basically the like bumbling but super enthusiastic brother of this candidate, Al Donnelly. Like he's super on board. He wants to do everything he can to help. He's just an obnoxious like oaf who always finds a way to ruin it. Which like on paper is a perfectly suitable Chris Farley movie.
Yeah.
Like that sound, like that is just like, okay, yeah, all right. And then it just stalls out so hard. Like it doesn't even get started really. They just like shove them off into the woods, and a bunch of shit happens out in the woods that doesn't matter at all. And none of the, it's like, why did they have to go to the woods? Like just to put them in situations where they can get attacked by a bat or jump in a lake or fall down a hill or, a giant rock runs into their cabin. It seemed like I couldn't tell which movie they really wanted to make. Like, did they want to make the Chris Farley and David Spade roughing it out in the woods movie, or did they want to make this like political? I mean, not that it's like super political, but like this, politics kind of plot line story. And they were just like, fuck it, throw them together. And it's just like,
it didn't really work as great as you hoped.
Yeah.
Oh, I did have a question. Gary Busey, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Gary Busey is in this movie.
Yes.
For anyone who has not seen the movie, and he is at his Gary Buseyest. Like, this is a role that is specifically written for Gary Busey. I would be incredibly surprised to find out that it was not. That he was not who they had in mind. Or if that's not the case, then this character is only as crazy as he is because he took the role. Yeah, because he was in it and he's like, I'm just going to start fucking doing shit. And they're like, okay, do it.
Yeah.
Character was probably way tamer in the script, and then he came in and Busey'd it up.
Another one of my notes was another question. And this one has more to do with movie physics.
Okay.
Which I know, Chris Farley movie, I shouldn't question the physics. Okay. Like, beginning of the movie, Chris Farley is being dragged by a car because his tie gets stuck.
Right.
What was sparking?
No, yeah, that's
under his body.
That's a huge thing in this movie that I think detracts from it, is that it gets like literally cartoony.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's being dragged by his tie behind a car, so sparks are flying out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that, and then later when he's yelling at the dude at the concert and the steam comes out of his ears.
Yes.
And it was like, man, this just does not. It's I can't honestly think of anything from Tommy Boy that like comes that close to where they like legitimately use like a cartoon joke. And it's like, no. Does not work. No, thank you.
It's so bad.
There's like 4 or 5 genuine laughs in this movie. And that's like, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
Especially when you have those two guys where it's like, come on.
It could have been so much better.
Something that I did like, I like the fact that, like, because the whole plot of the movie, there's this, there's the incumbent governor who she is like super underhanded, and she's trying her best to like wreck the campaign for Donnelly. But Chris Farley's doing a good enough job himself by causing a whole bunch of ruckus and, bad press and shit for his brother. And so they send him off to the woods with David Spade as his like babysitter to keep him like out of the spotlight. And yet he continues to find ways to embarrass the campaign and all that stuff. Something that I did like that they didn't like take any super cheap shots one way or the other. At least that I didn't really notice. It didn't feel like either of the candidates, the governor or Donnelly, had a specific political affiliation. It wasn't like she's the Democrat and he's the Republican, or vice versa. Yeah. They never really went into their like politics too much.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think that's good, because this movie did not need like that extra layer of like other shit going on and like jokes in that manner. It's like, you're not writing enough jokes for Farley as it is.
Yeah.
Don't fucking start writing hammy political jokes all over the place as well.
Yeah.
Like,
why didn't they plan for the direction the tree was falling? Like, I know it was supposed to, when she had the axe.
At the
ceremony or whatever.
For the lumberjacks or whatever. Yeah, she chops at the tree and it falls on the like craft table.
Yeah. They're lumberjacks. Like, I know she said like it was supposed to go down on the first swing.
Yeah.
Like, that that still doesn't change the direction that the tree fell. Like, why wasn't there a rope guiding that? Like, they're lumberjacks. They should know this. You have a guiding rope
Yeah,
so that
entire...
so that it falls, especially because it's a smaller tree. Like, come on, guys.
An entire like camp of lumberjacks saw nothing
Yeah.
wrong with the
Yeah.
tree line being directly in the path of the food table or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, I mean that is sort of a big thing, is that it's like the movie clearly shows how much she sucks as a candidate.
Yeah.
It's like she goes to this thing, she fucks up the tree thing, she clearly doesn't care about like any of the people that she's talking to, and Al Donnelly, looks real genuine and all that. Which it's like, well, fuck, his campaign advisor is just as shady as hers.
Yeah.
So it's like, really, in the end, is there any difference between these two? I realized just like looking at the notes that I wrote, how many of them are basically just like being disappointed with how just like unfunny it is as it goes. Like even moments when it's Farley and Spade together, there's really nothing. They don't like bond. There's no fun chemistry between them. It's just like them both being idiots in that cabin for like way too much of that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like again, with the lack of plot, like
and with how short the movie is.
Yeah, it's 88 minutes and like 80 of them are spent in that cabin. It's ridiculous. Like it really does boil down to like nothing fucking happens. This plot is so like there is like a plot happening with the governor, and she has some people fucking burn down a rec center to frame Mike for burning it down, like as revenge for getting fired. And like that's her plan to derail Al's campaign, is by having his brother be an arsonist. But like they just leave. Like the fire happens, their buddy cop shows up, and he's like, guys, just leave. And it's like, what? He saw people, like, and you're a cop who will believe him, so you should use that to get someone to look for these people. Like everybody would vouch for this guy. He clearly loved that rec center.
Yeah, that was his life.
Exactly. Like and as crazy and out there as any of his crimes have been, or his like his misdeeds, the things that he's done, it's all been out of like boyish enthusiasm, and trying to do the right thing but fucking it up. He's never been malicious. You literally just like go to any of the like parents of the kids that he's like playing football with. Be like, what do you think about that guy? And be like, oh no, he wouldn't do that. The people who fucking work there, I'm sure they love him. You know what I mean? Like, the only reason he got fired is because they like pulled some strings. You know what I mean? Like, because that's sort of because he does the thing with the kids that he's like he's smoking pot with them and everything, and they get the pictures, and that goes viral. 1996 viral.
It was all over the newspapers.
Yeah, but I specifically remember the governor talking about some I forget the exact thing, but she mentioned something, and then the very next scene is Farley saying that like it came from the top that I was fired, and I'm pretty sure she set it up. Like she got him fired. That's why she knew to put those guys there to light that fire, because she knew he was taking his shit, because she got him fired.
Gotcha.
So it's like that's her plan, is to get him fired from a place where everyone is going to vouch for him later. And be like, there's no way he would do this. and frame him for it. And they just bail and leave and go to a cabin for so long with just nothing happening. Like, oh, Farley fell down a hill. Oh, there's a bat in the fucking thing. Oh, a boulder runs into it. Like, there's little moments in all of these things that are funny. Like, I do love, like, the fact that Farley just, like, swipes at the bat and to say that he, like, touched it. That's such a Chris Farley moment of, like, yeah, I touched it. Like, no, you didn't. Like, what? Like, that was good. Or his freak out on Spade when they're playing checkers. The whole, like, it's pretty easy to win when you never move your back row ever. Like, that's a great just like Farley freak out moment of like he just loses it. Like, that's good, but the whole cabin getting hit with a giant boulder and the putting in the pants joke when the fridge falls into him, and speaking of the rec center. I think one of the biggest things about this movie that really like it bummed me out a little bit. That moment when Farley gets the call that he's fired
Yeah.
from the rec center, and then Mike and Steve are talking about it, and like Farley is acting his ass off.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my God. Like it was really, really eye-opening, where it's like, I watched that movie as a kid, mostly. I can't even really remember the last time I watched the whole thing through. So when watching it, it was really just for like the goofy, silly bits, you know, and I never really paid too much attention. Yeah, exactly. And watching it now, I was like, fuck, dude, Farley is selling this so well.
Yeah.
About how much that rec center meant to him and how just like destroyed he is that he got fired. And there's that moment, and then there's that moment later when they're watching the debates in Drake Savage's fucking hollowed out school bus. Yeah. He's watching his brother say something along the lines of like, but I love my brother Mike and I'm proud of him. And you know, and it cuts back to Farley, and you could see the tears forming in his eyes and how like happy he is about that. And fucking it, like, it was so legitimate that all it made me think was like, I am really fucking bummed that we got the Mike Myers Shrek and not the Chris Farley Shrek. Because I know they released like a little bit of his like recorded dialogue for it, and it was much, much different. He wasn't some like, oh, big Irish, blah, blah, blah. Scottish, whatever. You know, he was much more subdued, and it seemed like it was supposed to be a younger Shrek and not like an angry middle-aged Shrek, you know, but he was like, oh man, like he kind of had that higher timbre to his voice. And, you know, it was a really like emotional scene that they had him do that line for.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I heard it, I was like, oh, that was okay. But watching this again and having it be something where it's like, it's a finished product. Like, here's the scene that he did in Black Sheep for this. And, you know, I'm sure they did a bunch of takes and he did a lot of rehearsals and all that kind of stuff. And so to watch him like really get into his element and act that out, I was like, fuck, that would have been amazing. I would have loved to have seen that Shrek. Like, I know the internet fucking loves it and everything, but in the end, it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It does what it does, but it's not some monumental achievement, at least in my opinion. It's not the funniest fucking thing on the planet. It's not the greatest.
Yeah, the first
animated
one's
movie
the
ever.
best.
Yeah.
I stopped watching after.
I watched 2. I don't think I watched it anymore.
I watched 2, and then I didn't see anything else.
Yeah, but they're fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just made me think I really wish I could have seen the Chris Farley Shrek. Would have been something. I will say the one line that has always stuck with me, I don't even care if you laughed at it or not, like, is when they're pulling up that bucket from the well, and then it like comes up and it's full of snakes, and they're just like, oh my God, they take off running. And one of the lines that Farley says as they're like running off into the distance is, "One looked at me." Like, that's the fucking funniest. It's the funniest thing to be terrified of. Like the snake, like oh my God, like, making eye contact with a snake. Like that being the scariest thing to him is so funny to me. I had to write that down.
Chris Farley on stage at Rock the Vote.
Highlight of the movie.
Best part.
Easy. I wrote later that there is a second highlight, but that I literally wrote that down. I wrote Farley getting stoned with the Rasta guys is the highlight. Like that whole sequence, him in there getting blazed with them. That whole giant tray of chicken wings devoured in front of him. That he's just, oh man, and then you like that. Okay, sorry. That is basically right after that. I wrote a very specific note that kind of just explains like why so much of this movie doesn't work and why that totally works. Farley alone in the woods, not very funny. Farley in front of a crowd, very funny. Put him in front of people. Why are you isolating him with just him and Spade with no one for them to bounce off of? Like that's half the fun. And I know that Spade isn't even there for that.
Yeah.
But there's enough other people there to kind of work it out. It's a pretty classic just like miscommunication of who he is just to get him on that stage. It's like I don't even care because the end result is such gold. Like, get him on that stage any way you can, movie. I don't care. I'm just being like, no, man, he's not the governor. He's running for governor. Like, and fucking just like dragging him out there.
Everybody stoned?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the implication. But yeah, him just piecing together like buzzwords and stuff into a speech because he has nothing and he's just feeding off the energy of the crowd.
Just pulling random phrases that he knows.
It has always, it's been stuck in my head for like my whole life because that scene is so damn funny. Like that truly is the highlight of the movie. But that one moment when he does the like, that is one small step for man, one giant. I have a dream. He doesn't even finish the thought. He moves on to the next one because he can't remember how it ends. Like, it's so funny. And just like belly sliding.
Yeah.
And doing like air guitar shit and everyone just like loving it.
Yeah.
And then like that alone would have been pretty funny if they eventually just like ended that scene with like someone just being like, hey, you're not Al Donnelly. And him getting like chased off stage. But the actual like button on that scene is so perfect that it like that moment really does rival most sequences like from Tommy Boy, where it's like in terms of just building and then hitting that last line so well. Fucking just like looking over to the Rasta guys and I'm just like, yeah, dude. All right. And he's just like, I got you. He like points at them like, oh, I'll tell him that thing we said earlier.
Oh, what we talked about.
Yeah. And like the line itself is killer enough. Just kill Whitey. And the whole crowd going silent. But the real button is the cut back to the Rasta guys all going, no. Like, oh my God. Oh, what a scene. That is like, that is worth the price of admission. Like sitting down and watching the whole movie, as much as it doesn't necessarily hit a lot of highs. Oh man, that is the tippy top. But the second one, the second highlight that I wrote down, because this is also like, this is the other moment that always stuck with me. Like there are plenty of other things where I was like, oh yeah, and then this little gag and oh yeah, this and that. But the one that always got me was them getting accidentally stoned in the cop car. With the nos, like the scene between them as they're just like being high, like this map's so heavy, it's got all these robes on it, and they can't say the word roads. And they're like, oh, that's a freaky word, man. Like that's funny and all, but it's the cop pulling them over. The whole thing is pretty funny, especially that he tells Spade to get in the back seat. While he's walking up, like he's literally crawling into the back seat as the officer approaches the window. So it's like, okay, like, yeah, you are not getting away with this. But like the movie's just kind of playing it like, oh, we'll see. Maybe he'll talk his way out of it. And there's fucking Jack Mehoff when he gives him that name. And then he turns and like gives Spade the look like, Jack Mehoff, you get it? Like, dude, you're blowing it. And then the reveal that they were going 7 miles an hour and pulled over onto the median. Oh man, that whole thing is so good. And then as we were watching it, I kind of had forgotten what like transpired afterwards. Cause again, this movie doesn't really have a lot of memorable like, oh yeah, and then this part. But when the cop started walking away, when he was like, could you please get him through this state faster than 7 miles an hour? And he's like, oh yeah, okay. And he like walks back to his motorcycle or whatever. I was like, even in a ridiculous cartoon movie world like this, what kind of fucking idiot just lets them go? Like there is nothing about this scenario that adds up, and you're just gonna let them. And then sirens go off, and they're getting chased by the cops. I was like, oh, thank God, movie. I really had no faith in you that you were gonna like actually take the realistic moment of like, yeah, there's no talking your way out of this scenario.
Like you are clearly guilty of multiple things.
Tons of stuff. So I was glad that happened, but. That whole, I mean, them getting that cop car from his buddy to go to Seattle or whatever the fuck was going on, like to the governor's mansion or something. The whole cop car borrowing seems like a bad idea in a billion different ways.
Yes.
Like under no, like if you would pause the movie right when they like figured out that voter fraud stuff, which how the fuck are they the only ones who noticed the voter number discrepancy? Because it's not even that much. Like, it's not like there's like, you know, so many million people voting in each of these places that it's hard to like see that there's a big difference when you're adding them all up or something.
Yeah,
it's
'cause
such
he
a
was talking
minuscule
about,
number.
like the county having like 15.
Yeah, they had 1,500 people and 1,800 people voted.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is not something that people would just be like, sounds right. Like,
Yeah.
they would be, someone along the way would be like, this seems odd. So it's like either this conspiracy goes way higher than just the governor, or maybe not necessarily higher, but is more widespread than just like trying to fuck with Al Donnelly. You know, like if she's like paying people off to count wrong or this, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
However they implemented this voter fraud. But yeah, it was ridiculous that Chris Farley is the one that figures it out.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, I get it. They spent some time in Garfield County earlier in the movie, but wasn't he a little busy falling down hills?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And almost getting blown up
Stapling
by
shit
Drake
to
Staffage.
trees.
Yeah. Stapling his thumb to a tree. Like, it was just ridiculous that they were the ones that figured it out. But if you had paused the movie right then, after they had like figured that out, like, we got to get to Seattle, and been like, what happens next? I'd have been like, because they try to start their car and it doesn't work, which is a good gag. Just the fact that it dies.
Nothing can stop us now.
Yeah, but the fact that it dies all the way down, you know what I mean? Like, totally dead, nothing happening. But even if you had paused it there, I'd be like, what do they do? It's like I would have thought like steal a Lamborghini or like hijack a plane before I would ever think like, oh yeah, his cop buddy will just lend him his cruiser.
Yeah.
To specifically to Speed, like because of the fact that it's fast.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like later in the movie, I mean, they get into that cop chase later and they use the NOS to get away from him. But it was like, they got him fired at the least.
Yeah.
Like their good buddy back home, or not even there. I don't even think he knows David Spade. Mike's good buddy back home is probably going to jail for doing that. On top of Mike going to jail by the end of this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Holy fucking Christ. Literally. I just wrote, Mike's cop gun stealing hostage plan to get to the stage is fucking lunacy. Like,
yeah,
way more than any other like even more than Tommy Boy. And where it's like he puts the road flares and it looks like a bomb, and it's like a bomb scare is pretty serious. Like, yeah, but Tommy literally pulled a gun out of a cop's holster. Like it is, or not Tommy, Mike pulled a gun out of a cop's holster and turned it on David Spade right in the middle of like the governor winning the election. Like this is a huge, it's not like you're just on a street corner. It is like they eventually
a broadcast event.
Yeah, broad daylight. Everyone looking at you because you're already causing a scene. Yeah. And then you
because you fell off an antenna.
Yeah. So
again, movie physics. He would have broken that like immediately.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
But gun stealing continues.
Yes, steals the gun. Like for one, he would have just been shot immediately by one of the other cops standing there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like it wouldn't have even been a thing. Like there's a crowd there and all that kind of stuff, but it's like he's right there. He's not a small target. And he just stole the gun. He would have
at the very least been tased.
Yeah, somebody would have done something to him like right there. That's lunacy that he did that. Yeah. And also just like it was not imperative that he go on that stage in order to expose the governor.
Yeah. There's TV cameras everywhere.
Yeah, but not just that, but it's like he could have just taken the fucking evidence to some, you know what I mean? Like he just could have turned in that evidence of voter fraud and then gotten the whole thing nullified or whatever, however the fucking process is. Yeah.
A recount with
exactly. Whatever
numbers, I would assume.
A re-election, who fucking knows? Whatever it would be, like that would get done without him needing to go up on stage and tell everyone about it. Yeah. It's completely unnecessary.
I mean, I get like by this point in the movie, he's figured out that she's the one that like set him up essentially because he sees the two
lit the fire and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I get like wanting to get back at her and like make it a public display.
Oh yeah, he definitely wanted to just like embarrass her.
Yeah, but I completely agree. You don't felony taking a cop's gun.
Yeah. And also you will be shot.
Yeah.
Like the only reason that he doesn't get taken out by the sniper, which again is just like a fucking insane thing when you like just look at like the beginning of the movie and what like the process and the like story, as little as there is, has been so far of this like bumbling fool gonna ruin the election. And it's like, oh yeah, and in the climax of the movie, in the big ending sequence, he has a gun trained on his head by a sniper. Like, what? Why?
Yep.
Like, what happens over this movie that causes that? And it's like, well, not all that much, really, until the very end when he when they steal, not even steal, but they take a cop's car, and then he takes a cop's gun. Like, it escalates so high for such a like low stakes thing of like, I need to get to that stage. Like, yeah, but really, you don't.
Yeah.
So if the choice is like, okay, I can get on that stage if I steal a cop's gun and like get sniper sights trained on me, like maybe just don't go for the stage. Maybe just go the easy way.
Yeah.
Like they could have found a different way to get him on that stage, like as writers of the movie. But they were like, no, it's got to be up there. It's got to be like, whoa. And it's like, that's a little too whoa.
Yeah.
Of like.
Tone down the whoa just a little bit.
Just a bit. Yeah. It's so fucking insane how that movie comes to a close like that. And the fact that I wrote, okay, there's one note in here that I wrote in all caps because it was like, it just dawned on me. So earlier in the movie, David Spade runs afoul of Gary Busey's character, Drake Savage, who's this like former veteran, clearly gone like crazy.
Yeah.
And he's just like this, you know, he'll fucking shoot you for being on his property kind of guy. And he apparently lives in a school bus out in the middle of the woods with landmines. Yeah,
surrounded by landmines.
Surrounded by landmines, like fucking insanity. They have run afoul of him a couple of times in the movie. But then Chris Farley like tackles him and he's like, you have impressed me. You are my friend now.
Yeah. And
the note I wrote about that, because it's so insane that he just goes like, he's just like, okay, we're cool now. Let's go watch TV together. And then later they can call on him for a favor they need. Like, it's going to be great, Mr. Savage. Thank you so much. Blah, blah, blah. And I wrote down, like, the good thing about writing characters that are insane is that you can have them do whatever you want them to, whenever you want, for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. So the fact that he's so completely nuts, it's like, it works.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that the character is so out there and unpredictable that it's like, I'd believe he'd do anything at this point.
Yeah.
I really do.
Just based on his whole demeanor.
Yeah, really. It's like they could have, it could have been like, we need to get to Seattle and our car won't start. Let's call up Drake Savage. And he comes in screaming with a jet. Like, I would have believed it.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
Helicopter.
oh yeah, makes sense. Exactly. Like, no, yeah, I totally get that. He probably stole it too. He'll probably say
it was
like,
probably in the woods. They just didn't see
they
it.
just didn't. They didn't catch that.
They didn't get to that
see
clearing.
The helipad. Yeah. So it's like they call him to come and like make an appearance.
Yeah.
At the ceremony where Mike is gonna like reveal the voter fraud and shit. And so he shows up. He has a rocket launcher.
Yeah. Because why not?
Yeah. And he saves Mike's life because he uses a little mirror to blind the sniper who's about to shoot him.
Yeah.
You know, like it's complete insanity. But Busey shows up, and the only reason that he like is up on stage with him, it seems like, because he mentions briefly, he's like, oh, well, okay, the reason they figure out the voter fraud essentially is that they recognize his dad and grandfather in the voter registration as voting for Governor Tracy. And they know that they're dead. So they're like, oh, fuck, there's clearly been some fuck ups here. You know, they did something with it.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's his only reason for being there is just to confirm that. Because they could have just said that. They could have been like, there's a lot of people on this voter registry that are dead.
Yeah.
You know, like, look into it, blah, blah, blah. But to have him there, I guess, makes it credible, even though he's fucking insane. But
he's standing there with a rocket launcher pointed at the audience.
Yeah. Like, but before he like gets to that, before he gets to the meat of it of like, and Drake Savage Sr. or whatever the fuck their names were, you know, before he gets to that, I was like, I wrote in all caps, was Savage only there to threaten everyone with a rocket launcher? Like, that made it seem like that was part of the plan. It's like, okay, so Mike's going to steal the gun, put it on Steve, drag him on stage. Savage shows up. You hold everyone at bay with the rocket launcher, and then we will reveal this voter fraud. Like, that is the plan.
Flawless.
Yeah, that is the plan for, like, trying to get the nuclear football back from the terrorists. Not the, like, and also a little light voter fraud happened as well. We need a rocket launcher for that. Totally insane. It ramps it up so hard. It feels so out of place.
Yeah, it's unnecessarily goofy.
And then the triumphant music swells as Farley writhes on top of Governor Tracy as if he's fucking her. Good Lord. That is my full note, even with the good Lord. Like, I was just watching it like, I get that it's technically a payoff from that line in the speech when he's like, Governor Tracy's been screwing us and now I'm going to screw her. Like, that's good enough. There you go. Like, slip of the tongue, weird Freudian thing. Yeah. Plenty good as a joke. Him literally like falling on top of her and them like pulling the camera back as it looks like he's like banging her is just so tasteless in a way that's just like,
dial it back a little.
It's just, I mean, it's unnecessary. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's like, you should have wrote better jokes, movie.
Yeah.
Like, these things that are they're just not funny enough. And the things that are funny are too far between from them happening, where it's like, oh, this part was kind of funny. And then another half hour lull. And then the next part that was funny.
One of my notes here was, so many blunders could have been avoided if someone would have just helped Chris Farley. Like, stuck in the voter booth thing.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Two people just hold it still so we can shimmy out.
Seriously.
Problem solved.
Everyone just watches him bumble about.
Yeah.
Like, oh, geez. And then they're mad at the end. Like, you idiot. Like, it could have been avoided a little bit.
Even with the whole podium thing, like, why didn't someone come and lift the podium? There's all those people standing there.
Standing there looking at them. Yeah. Just move the podium, you idiots.
Yeah.
Like, one way or another.
No one reacted to it.
So, yeah. As it turns out, it's not a very good movie.
Yeah.
Like, I have like two random things that that we'll end with.
Okay.
Like, because they didn't really fit in anywhere we were talking. One, I think Spade's best moment, quite possibly, and I've always loved this line, is that, are you or are you not the Black Angel of Death? Just asking it so seriously, too.
That got an actual laugh from me when he said
line. That. And the other one that I thought was just so silly, because it was like, what kind of fucking 12-year-old kid asks the governor for an autograph?
Right.
At the end of the movie there, when he like introduces that kid to his brother and everything, and he's like, oh, Governor Donnelly, could I get your autograph? And it's like the fuck, who do you think this guy is?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, did you say Governor Donnelly? Oh, I thought you said Dan Marino. Never mind. I don't want your autograph.
On my football.
Yeah, what the fuck? Who gets that? That was just silly. Also, those kids at the rec at the beginning had the most 90s haircuts on the planet. That one fucking super mullet in the back. And then the one that was like the blonde kid from Full House. Or not Full House. Home Improvement. Yeah, with the part in the middle and all that. Yeah, they were so fucking 90s. It was hysterical.
Yes.
I love that. David Spade too. David Spade's hair looked like someone's mom now, you know?
Yes.
With that haircut and everything.
Exactly.
That was really good. I guess that's gonna have to do it for Popcorn for Dinner this week. I'm Jeff.
And Kelly.
Kill Whitey.